shelter.
School.
No homeless shelter.
School.
No homeless shelter.
School. 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 Come on, Joe. School. 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 School.
Procurement of 7816 among other properties.
We're going to follow the school's chancellor around. Fire Carranza! 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 Fire Carranza!
My name is Tony Nunziato. I'm the president of Juniper Park Civic Association. We're here today to go against 200 men in a homeless shelter among our neighborhood, in the middle of our neighborhood, with all the schools around us. It's not right putting it in the middle of our neighborhood, endangering our community. So we're here voicing our opinion. We need schools. We need low-income housing. We need senior shelters. We need something for our veterans, not 200 homeless men in our neighborhood that would make it unsafe. That's what we're here today to fight for.
I don't want to see a chancellor who would say no to a brand new school for special needs children. That's why we need to fire the racist Carranza. Fire Carranza! Fire Carranza! Fire Carranza! Fire the racist! Fire the racist! Fire Carranza! Fire the racist! Fire the racist! Fire Carranza! Fire the racist! Fire the racist! Fire Carranza! 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 Fire the racist!
I spoke to the principal of PS9, and he wants this to be an additional school for PS9 for District 75 children. And he's now spread out in 7 different locations. He's one man, and every day he has to go to 7 different locations to try to educate these children with severe disabilities. And it's not fair to them. These children spend sometimes 4 hours a day on a bus, and I don't think that that's fair to them. Let me get started here. So first of all, I want to thank everybody for coming to defend our community. And why we're here today. Some of the reasons why we're here today is because we have to once again defend our community, our families, and our way of life against corrupt politicians like Bill de Blasio and his profit-seeking real estate cohorts. It's getting ridiculous. Seems like every year we have to defend against these guys just to keep our neighborhood and our children safe. We're here to say no to this plan to house dangerous, unpredictable, drug-abusing ex-convicts in the center of our community. We say no to that. Okay, we're here to say no to housing sexual offenders among our children. We say no to that. No to allowing mentally ill men to roam the streets of our neighborhood and endanger our children. You guys all know what happened down here. That kid got picked up on his own porch and slammed to the ground. Went to the hospital in critical condition. Why? Because the governor, Mr. Cuomo, has taken away all the funding for the mental hospitals that these people belong in. They walk on the streets. They're convicted of crimes time and time again and turned back loose. They have nowhere to go. That funding needs to be reinstated for mental hospitals. I said it before and I said it again. This is a hard-working, middle-class, tax-paying traditionally family valued people here in this neighborhood.
That's right.
Yep. Right? And you know, we have traditional family values. And it does, in fact, as Mr. de Blasio demands, take care of its own. We take care of our own people here. We did not produce 250 single homeless men with drug problems from our community, and we're not responsible to house them. I don't care what Mr. de Blasio or what Mr. Banks says. That's not our problem. We were told that we had 250, and when our councilman Holden asked for the explanation of who those people were, he was denied that explanation. I think the answer to him was, if we told you where they were from, you would know who they were. And to me, the explanation of that is they're coming out of Rikers Island. That's who they are. They're not homeless men, they're convicts. We got the shelter, you know, these shelters are being built over here, and it's in direct relation to closing Rikers Island, right? And the Justice Reform Act. In January, thousands of people are going to be released from prison, from jails all over the city, and they're decriminalizing a lot of crimes here. And that's what they're preparing facilities like this for. This is not going to help the homeless guy sleeping on the street. It's not going to help the people you see on the train. It's not going to help the mentally ill people who really do need help. And if this was a facility like that, I might be inclined to consider it, but it's not. It's a halfway house for drug abusers and ex-convicts, and we don't need it here. Maybe in another place. We got empty facilities all over the place.
Right.
But what do we do with them? They just sold the jail in Staten Island. You know what they do there? They shoot movies in there. Brand new. Taxpayers paid to refurbish it. They shoot movies in there. We got empty beds up on Roosevelt Island. There's 400 empty beds. One more that they just redid for 200 beds for homeless senior citizens. It's, you know, a senior home. They redid the whole ward, put all kinds of money into it. It's sitting there brand new. Well, no one's ever slept in a bed. You know what they do there? They shoot movies there, right? Same thing in the Queen's House of Detention. Nobody in there. You know what they do in there? They shoot movies. And the same thing's going to happen with Rikers Island. You know what they're going to do in there? They're going to put all of those people. I went to City Hall about 2 weeks ago. Bob had a press conference there. And a gentleman was present there. He was the president of the union for the corrections officer. And he pointed out to me that the inmate population in New York City is at an all-time low. There are 3,700 inmates on Rikers Island. That's an all-time low. Now they want to build 4 borough-based jails. Each one of those jails is going to house 4,000 people, right? Add that up. What are the numbers, right? Why do we need all of those beds for inmates? We only have 37 inmates in New York. Rikers Island is a place to keep. Those people are in jail. You know why? Because they belong in jail. That's where they should stay. Not coming into our neighborhood.
That's right.
So these are the places that they're going to wind up putting it. And you know, I put out some flyers that said stop the halfway house, and I heard that people were confused about that, but I want to clear it up for you. This ain't a homeless shelter. People don't get mandated to stay in homeless shelters. People are not forced to stay in homeless shelters. And that's what's happening here. They're going to be forced into programs, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but it's a bad thing here. They belong in Rikers Island. Put those programs there. You got Manhattan Site Facility on Randall's Island. It's virtually empty. You got Creedmoor. It's virtually empty. All that needs to be refunded by the governor and opened back up for these people who really do need the help, not for them to be imposed upon us.
Send him the Gracie man.
Mr. de Blasio put out a plan called Turning the Tides on Homelessness, right? Well, Mr. de Blasio's plan on turning the tides isn't turning any tide at all. The only thing it's turning is a profit for his campaign contributor, real estate developer, socialist cronies. That's what this is doing. Homelessness has actually increased by 30% since the mayor has introduced that plan. So it isn't working, and it's all a bunch of lies. Howard, you know, like I said, it's producing huge profits for the mayor's corrupt real estate developer campaign donors. The fact is, we don't need a halfway house in Glendale. What we do need are things that create and support a solid, stable community base. Things like affordable housing units. We definitely need those. There's validity to that. We have a lot of people that can't afford all of this $3,000 rents. I can't afford that. I don't know how anybody can afford it. So we need things like like affordable housing units. We need senior housing, which this would be a perfect place for. It's a beautiful property. We need senior housing. We need daycare. We're about to lose a daycare, a valuable asset to this community because of this homeless shelter. The guy who's developing that place over there wants to pull out now because he can't put the children next to these sexual offenders that are going to move in here. So District 24, we need schools. District 24, that's where our kids go to school. We're short 4,000 seats to serve the needs of our children. 4,000. And he can justify putting a halfway house in here? I don't buy that. Okay, the property you see behind is a valuable resource to our community. In fact, was told to us by Councilman Holden, our representative in the City Council, that Mayor de Blasio assured him that this site was going to become a new District 75 school location to serve the overwhelming needs of severely handicapped children in PS9, which is now spread out into 7 different locations with only one principal, forcing these children to spend up to 4 hours a day commuting on school buses. And these aren't even just regular children. A lot of these kids are wearing diapers. Imagine being on a school bus for 4 hours a day and you can't get your diaper changed, you can't go to the bathroom. Just for them to get to a school where they're not even getting the services they need because, you know, there's 5 here, 10 there, and they got one principal to travel all those other things. It takes one teacher for every 5 kids. So they're probably, you know, they're just not getting the services they need. And like I said, the principal at PS9, I know he would love this for an additional facility. You know, he doesn't want to give up his old place, which I think, you know, he has a right to. You know, the man's very smart. He's very involved with those children. He cares about his job. I never saw anybody so engaged in his job and loves what he does and does it so well. A man like that should be the school's chancellor, not this friggin' Carranza. They should get rid of him. He ain't nothing but a businessman, and we don't need him.
Ooh, Carranza!
So I agree with Charlie when Tom says, fire Carranza. So, Mr. de Blasio told our councilman that he assured our councilman that we were going to get a District 75 school here. And you know what he did? He lied. What Mayor de Blasio is now doing instead is he's stealing this site from the children and selling it to the highest bidder. The proposed contract to operate this site is $62 million over 5 years. $62 million. That's $152 per head per convict and sexual offender. $152 a head. And you know what School's Chancellor Carranza has offered the children of PS9 in return? $15 million over 5 years to rehabilitate their centuries-old dilapidated building. You know what that comes to? $11 a head for the children of PS9. It is bullshit.
That's right. And they can afford $5,000 for every single one that's in this building.
They're going to spend $152 a head to house sexual offenders, and they're going to give $11 a head to disabled children. How do you justify something like that? Do they think we're idiots? We don't see this thing? You know, they must think that we're morons. So, you know, that tells you once again what little regard this administration has for our children and our community. West Ham, that's the name of the company that's being entertained for the contract for this facility that's proposed to open here. They're out of Westchester County. And not one of West Ham's executive board have any background whatsoever in social services, community development, mental health care, drug rehabilitation. Not one of them have any background in that whatsoever. You know what their degrees are in? Every one of the executive board of West Ham, the provider that's going to come in here? They all have business degrees. And you know what else they do? They all sit on the executive boards of real estate development corporations. That's what this is all about. Stealing our community's resources and selling it to his campaign donors. That's what Mr. Blasio's doing. I want to share with you a little bit about how deep the corruption goes in getting this place procured here. This site behind you is a former manufacturing facility, an industrial zone, which does not allow for residential housing. Therefore, no shelter can be built here. Since 2013, we've been able to stop this plan through legal challenges, building and zoning codes. We've been able to stop that. 6 years they've been fighting this. Kathy Massey, the Glendale and Middle Village Coalition, the Juniper Park Civic Coalition, Bob Holden. We've been fighting this for 6 years. However, the architect that has been hired by Liberty One Construction, that's Mr. Rabinowitz and Mr. Levitin, and they've been coined the homeless shelter industry pioneers by Stephen Banks, the head of the Department of Homeless Services. That's what he coined these guys. The homeless shelter industry creators. So they're the ones that are developing this site. It's Liberty One Construction. And what they specialize in is finding undervalued properties and finding a way to make them profitable. They've done this to many different sites all over the place, and they're going to do it to some more. And along with the landlord here, Michael Wilner, who, by the way, you know, when they started to introduce this site here, they asked, if we don't want it here, then we should provide an addition, you know, an alternate location for it. And Bob offered them up no, it's a new construction building on Summerfield Avenue, right? And they denied it. They said it wasn't suitable. So we can't put those people down there. That's not a suitable alternate location. So you know what they did now? Now they're building this one, and they also took Summerfield as an additional. So that's two. They're taking the alternate that we gave them and said it was no good. They're taking that too. And you know who the landlord is? Michael Wilner, the same guy that owns this building right here. So we're talking about corruption right here. It's not a done deal. Remember what I said at the meeting at the community board? We weren't even supposed to have that meeting at Christ the King until after the contract was signed, right? The contract hasn't been signed yet. The contract hasn't even had a hearing yet. The hearing takes place on November 7th to see if the contract will get approved. So how can they say that this has been approved? How can they give the community board 30 days notice and have a meeting that we're going to open this place? You know why? Corruption. That's why. They know that they're going to do this. I don't know who of you guys were on the bus with me last year. We went out to Michael Wilner's house. Raise up your hand. Give me a yell if you were there. We took a couple hundred people out to his little McMansion out there in Long Island to go visit him. But before that, when I was scouting, because I always do my due diligence before we go somewhere, I had a personal conversation with Michael Wilner standing on the sidewalk at his house. And that man told me a year ago, in June of 2018, that, sorry, I hope you can hear me. That man told me, Michael Wilner, the landlord here, that a year ago in 2018, this project has already been approved by the city. This is going to happen, and there's nothing that you can do about it. Those are the words that came out of Michael Wilner's mouth. There's nothing we can do about it. So what does that tell you? He knows a year ago that this is going to happen. Corruption, again, right? We protested down in Brooklyn. We did another protest. A lot of you people were here. Give me a yell if you were there, right? You know whose house we went to? Levitin and Rabinowitz, Liberty One Construction, the developers. You know what? I'm convinced that it was Mr. Levitin standing outside there because we were in front of his house. And that man told me, very arrogantly, you are getting a shelter in Glendale. And there's nothing you can do about it. Whether you like it or not, you're getting a shelter in Glendale. So this is the corruption, you know, part of the, we're peeling away the layers of the onion of the corruption here, right? So, like I said, since 2013, we've been able to stop this plan through legal challenges and building codes and zoning laws. However, the architect hired by Liberty One Construction and Mr. Wilner, give me one more minute. Curtis Lee was here. I want to get the guy up here. He's got a wonderful way of putting things into perspective on things. I love Curtis. One of my heroes, always taking care of New York. Homegrown right there. All right? So they hired an architect. His name is Berger. And his architectural firm is representing Liberty One Construction on all of the projects here. And Mr. Berger used to be the, he worked for the Department of Buildings. He was the, Mr. Berger self-certifies all the plans, and he intimidates the current DOB employees into denying all of the legitimate challenges presented by us under the New York City building codes. So, Mr. Berger, like I said, he was a former commissioner of the New York City Department of Buildings. That's who's pushing these. Every time we file a challenge, it's legitimate. This building is illegal. They cannot house 200 people here. They cannot do it. And he pushes these plans through by intimidation and corruption. Mr. Berger, the ex-chancellor, counselor, ex-commissioner of the Department of Buildings. All right, this facility is in fact illegal. Liberty One has twice changed their plans from offices to lodging house in order to circumvent a special permit that's required by the Department of City Planning, which would have required them to undergo certain studies and regulations that would surely have denied their proposed use for this site.
We tried to work with the mayor. We don't think a warehouse, and that's literally a warehouse, is appropriate for 200 men. Actually, we don't have 200 homeless men in Community Board 5. So why are we accepting this? And we shouldn't.
We're not.
We shouldn't accept this. We won't accept this. And the next time we have a protest, next time we have a demonstration, we'll do a march around the community, and we're certainly going to shut down Cooper Avenue. Shut it down.
Shut down the streets.
Shut it down.
Shut it down.
We're not going to trust.
Shut it down.
Shut it down.
Shut it down. Shut it down. Shut it down. Shut it down. Shut it down. Shut it down. Shut it down. Shut it down.
We're not going to trust Mayor Bill de Blasio, the dope from Park Slope. We're not going to trust him with our community. We know what's best for our community, not him. The mayor told me it was 90% that this would be a school, and I believed him for a while, for a whole year. However, I learned quickly that they're liars. They don't care. We told the mayor there's a child care center opening up right next door here. They don't care. There's a girls' gym up the block. They don't care. There's schools behind us, schools this way, schools that way, a mall here. This is a family neighborhood. A family neighborhood. We don't need, I suggested smaller shelters we can accept. We have mostly 1- and 2-family homes. We don't need a warehouse shelter here, and that's what this is. But I want to bring up a guy that helped us defeat the Maspeth homeless shelter 3 years ago. He's an advocate for us, the middle class, which the mayor has forgotten the middle class, and he certainly has forgotten Glendale and Middle Village. Curtis Lewa.
Well, here again, as I've been all throughout the city. But your problem is not unique to Glendale or Middle Village or Maspeth. I've seen it in the North Shore, Staten Island, where they jam shelters down to people's throats. Up in the Bronx, other parts of Queens, Richmond Hill, in Brooklyn, Sunset Park. This mayor, this guy who checked out long ago, he basically decided he wasn't going to be mayor of the city of New York. This dope, this part-time mayor from Park Slope, even jammed 2 shelters down the throats of his hipsters and adoring millennials down in Park Slope, and they no longer deify him because there is no resolution to the problem that these men have. And we saw that with the program that he bestowed upon his wife, Charlene, $1 billion to deal with the mentally disabled, those who are in need of severe psychiatric help. Where's the $1 billion?
Where's the money? Where's the money? Where's the money?
Charlene. And when she's asked the question, where did the money go? And when she's asked, okay, can you show us any of the programs? We see emotionally disturbed everywhere. We see homeless men who have these psychiatric problems that require short-term or long-term care. I thought yours is a program that was supposed to deal with this. and the mayor protects her. Now this woman has absolutely jack-diddly squat, no experience in dealing with mentally impaired, single, able-bodied men, many of whom end up in the shelters. So that's an indication that this mayor puts in charge of homeless services people who are inept, who are not qualified, who do one thing and one thing only. They kiss his big toe kiss. That's the only reason they're there. Look at Banks. Banks is the author of putting these shelters in every community in New York City. Have we seen one shelter that they can show us in which they actually get results? The answer is you never see any. Why? Because they warehouse these men. They're not giving them services. They're not helping them with job training. They're not trying to find them jobs in a booming economy. They're not dealing with their alcohol or their drug issues or their psychiatric impairment. They're not trying to heal the wounds that these single able-bodied men created within their own families that caused their families to kick them out the door. In fact, recently, the Mama Luke, the Mashad Scott Stringer said, well, you know why we have all these homeless men? Because of domestic abuse in the household. So, of course, the women kick them out. They give them a hefty trash bag, and they say, hey, go park yourself in a nearby park. So all of these mounting problems, and all the city wants to do with them is shove them down your throats with no remedy, no relief, no solutions, except to destroy neighborhoods. And you know, deep in your heart and soul, this mayor has it in for Glendale, Middle Village, and Maspeth. When I stood with Councilman Bob Holden, who had yet then to announce that he'd run to get rid of the corporate Crowley. And I stood amongst hundreds of you, time and time again. This caused the mayor and his minions and his sycophants and his lackeys enormous agita. Because when he called you racist, you didn't fold like cheap cameras.
That's right.
When he said you're only interested in yourself, you didn't fold like cheap cameras. You went out and you helped neighborhoods all throughout the city to fight this problem. You helped black neighborhoods, Hispanic neighborhoods, East Indian neighborhoods, Asian neighborhoods, other white neighborhoods. You didn't look at color. You looked at the problem. And the mayor hates you and despises you for that. So this is a war for the soul of our city. This man is term limited, thank God. But whoever replaces him is going to carry on the legacy because they've already put it into effect. So keep your battle going. Fight the good fight because you're not just fighting for your neighbors and your children and your senior citizens. You're fighting for the soul of New York City. Enough is enough. Save our city. Thank you.
I get the job of following Curtis. Great. Great. You can do it. Thank you. I want to first say thank you to all of you. Thank you. Thanks for being out here and caring about your community. And that's why you're here. The passion about Glendale and surrounding communities, thank you all for being here. Because you can all be, and probably should be, somewhere else on this beautiful Saturday. Should be with our families, should be in our homes, should be outside enjoying this beautiful day. But we can't be, because what we're witnessing for the first time in many, many years is a mayor who cannot handle a crisis. We're witnessing 6 years of failure that's affecting our life in our community. And we've never seen this before, if you think about it. The rallies, the anger, good people handing over their hard-earned money for lawsuits. We have not seen this because we're witnessing a mayor who cannot handle a crisis. What is his idea? What was his plan? So Bloomberg had a plan. Mayor Bloomberg used the whole city to find homes for homeless individuals, to find programs that help these individuals. No rallies, no protests, but solutions, not shelters. And the idea here is he used cluster apartments, real apartments for all homeless individuals throughout the whole city. So what does this mayor do? Mayor de Blasio has the brains to turn around and say, we're not going to use cluster apartments anymore. We got a better plan. I, de Blasio, got a better plan. I'm going to shove children in hotel rooms. I'm going to put children in a room with no kitchen, but that's a better plan than the cluster apartments. You got to be kidding me. You don't use hotels. So I say, I have ideas. I have credible ideas about go back to the cluster apartments. Real apartments for real homeless individuals with programs that work. Use what we have started in the state. Affordable New York was a program that we supported in 2017 to give incentive to affordable housing. Build affordable housing. This mayor has not done any affordable housing projects locally or anywhere else. It's a problem. Use affordable housing. Use city-owned property for that affordable housing. City-owned property. Not that we make private individuals richer. Not that we make private individual properties richer. Use city-owned property that they control and to build their homes on that property. There are 1,500 city-owned properties throughout the city that are vacant that could be used right now for homes. Modular homes, a fraction of the cost that you've wasted, $2 billion on Department of Home Services. You've seen the waste. Modular homes are quicker to do, cheaper to do for homeless individuals and get their programs, to get the help that they need. We have solutions, but we're not being heard. We won't stop. We won't stop until we are heard. Because there's a far, far better plan than that this mayor has over the past 6 years. You would think a mayor that has tried something over and over again for 6 years and has not seen it work as the homeless crisis has increased, you would think this mayor would change his way. You'd think he'd change direction. You'd think he'd listen to people, work with elected officials. But no. He continues to do down the bad path, not helping homeless individuals, only causing anger in our communities instead of changing direction. Because that would be the smart thing to do, to change direction. But this guy can't do it. Mr. Mayor, here are concerns. Here are ideas. Because if you don't, we will track you down until the day that you do hear us. Thank you very much, everyone. God bless you all.
I want to say that, you know, these people have reached out, as I was just speaking, for information to try to stop this thing, to try to fight against this thing, and they've been denied. We've asked for information under the Freedom of Information Act, and we've been flat out denied by the city of any information. As I said, it's retaliation. And I also want to point out one other thing. Mayor de Blasio told Bob Holden that this was going to be a school. He assured Bob Holden that this was going to be a school. And you know what he did?
We learned 54% of the inmates or detainees coming out of city jails go right into the homeless shelter system. 54% go right from jail into the homeless shelter system. So what is the mayor doing? They're putting shelters in our home, near our homes, so that they can house the criminals. Obviously, it's a halfway house. That's what they're doing. So what we're saying is, and by the way, it's also statewide, 1 out of 5 go right into the homeless shelter system in New York City. So why would any neighborhood want this? Why? So we said smaller is better. And we tried to work with the mayor. Smaller shelters and faith-based organizations can make it. This can't. 200 cannot. And so, we just can't stand here all the time and yell at a building. We can't do that. We have to march. We have to go to City Hall. We have to go to the mayors. We have to go to the commissioners. And we have to go to Michael Wilner, the poverty pimp. Michael Wilner is a bad neighbor, never cared about this neighborhood. He never cared. He's a poverty pimp. So is Rabinowitz. So is Leviton. We are not taking this shelter. We are not going to have it here. But We need everyone, your neighbors, your friends, to come out and, again, block Cooper Avenue and do a march. I want to bring up Kathy Massey. Come on up. I want to bring up Kathy Massey from the Glendale Civic, who has a suggestion.
There's no time better than today, right now, to do this march. Everyone should be lining up. And we should walk the neighborhood, because not only do half the people that live in Glendale and Middle Village not know about this, we need to send the word out. So I suggest that right now, we get together and we start the march now.
I want to bring up, we fought the Maspeth homeless shelter 3 years ago, successful in blocking that, and helping us with that was Tony Nunziato, president of Juniper Park Civic. Thank you. I am you, you are us, we're all together on this. This is our neighborhood. We worked very hard all these years. We saw it through the worst of times, made it the better of times. Now we have a man that wants to make it the worst times again. We have dictatorships in our government with the mayor. They dictate what we can eat, dictate what we can wear, dictate what kind of transportation we're going to use. Bicycles over cars. We have to show this is not a dictatorship. He will not dictate. This comes to our neighborhood. We're going to go after it. He changed his name. I'm going to tell you something. From being Italian descent, I'm offended with Bill de Blasio. He changed his name. It's Warren Wilhelm. Let's go by what it is. The guy wants to dictate, and we have to show through marching today that we will not take this. We will do it civically, and we'll do it in march to show you do not use our tax dollars against us in our neighborhood to make our children and our family unsafe. So we're going to have Kathy Massey at the front, and we're going to take over, we're going to march, and we're going to send a message. This is not going to happen. And Mike did a great job in Maspeth organizing those secret bus trips. They didn't know where we were going. They never knew where we were going to show up. So they weren't prepared for us. And that bothered them. But what we're going to do today, we're going to do a little practice march. We're going to go up to the hill, on the top of the hill, cross the street. The cops are setting up now. We cleared it with them. Go on the other side, up to the light, and coming back around. So let's march and make a lot of noise. Let's go. No homeless shelter.
No homeless shelter. No homeless shelter. No homeless shelter. No homeless shelter.
No homeless shelter. No.
Kids coming here.
No homeless shelter. No homeless shelter. No homeless shelter.
No homeless shelter.
No homeless shelter. No homeless shelter. No homeless shelter. No homeless shelter.
She wants to run.
No homeless shelter.
McManus in the house, president of the Rockaway Republican Club.
Thank you.
They got a kid? Yeah, he told me.
Two. Oh, two?
Not only here, but across the United States. I just came back from France. France is a shithole.
Oh, yeah, we know. Oh, we're going.
I can't drop you off.
Yeah, we hate cats, don't worry.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
You know, you have to espouse the gay and
Investigate those properties.
right.
Woo! Just to make sure.
Right at the storage facility, which
No homeless shelters. No homeless shelters. No homeless shelters. No homeless shelter. No homeless shelter. No homeless shelter. No homeless shelter.
Dump the Park Slope dope.
and I would apologize.
They don't make no sense.
Homeless shelter.
어, 신기해.
No homeless shelter. No homeless shelter.
They take the one sound bite.
Yes, exactly.
Unfortunately, the one sound bite from. Why'd you face? Solutions, not shelters.
No homeless shelter.
No homeless shelter. No homeless shelter. No homeless shelter.